Hey guys, my name is Paul. I want to show you how I did 225 feet of Cedar Picket privacy fence in one day with two friends of mine. Installation, everything, using the MasterHalco Postmaster system and materials combined with the Rhino Multipro post setter. Unbelievable how good this works. My wife and I built a house last year. It's on about a 1 acre lot. I have 1,000 feet of fence that I needed to do, and I was dreading about 180 posts that I was going to have to auger holes, set them in concrete, put posts in the ground. You guys know on fencing that setting the posts is just the absolute worst, and I was dreading it. When I started researching, I saw this Rhino Multi-Pro tool and decided I would do some more research. And I am absolutely thrilled at how well it went. One of the biggest benefits is we set posts and immediately started setting rails and pickets right behind. Here's what I did. And we're about 225 feet. I'll show you guys a little bit more. And I want to show you guys how this worked. So anyway, I am based in northern Utah. My soil here, I've got about 2 feet of topsoil and then it hits clay. I don't have a lot of rocks. So I bought a post and tested it before I, went all in, because I had a huge order. It's almost 200 posts that I bought, 1,000 feet of fencing. And these things go in the ground solid. I was also really worried about getting them plumb. I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to get these things driven in plumb. And so on my test post, I took my skid steer and then I bent them. I would bend them out of plumb, back into plumb. And I did that multiple times. They still held well. So let me show you what the MasterHalco stuff is. You guys can buy this stuff at Lowe's, but I would not do it. It's way more expensive. Go find your MasterHalco distributor and find the company that sells these products and just go buy it from them. Don't buy them at Lowe's. The post. It's a Postmaster Plus by MasterHalco. I bought the 8-foot length because I wanted to drive them 3 feet into the ground, leaving 5 feet out. This is the shape of the post. And they've got holes in them. So this end here is designed to go into the ground. And we would drive it about 3 feet in the ground, and it's got all these holes where you can attach your rails. I also bought the rails and the picket from MasterHalco. Just bought pallets of them. So the thing that we did is we would run a line, our line, and I set the fence about 1.5 inches off of my property line. But we'd run 100-foot tape, and I just walked along with my wand, my marking paint wand, and every 6 foot I just put an orange mark on the ground, using my little marking wand. I'm not worried about it being 5'8" or 6'2". It just isn't really going to matter. On my side of the fence, this is what I'm going to have, and so if there's some variation in the spacing between the posts and the way it finishes up, it's just, I'm never going to see it, and it's a horse field on the other side. Let me hop over the fence real quick and show you what it looks like on the back. So here's what I've got. You put a picket up, it hides the fence post, and it's gorgeous. And again, the difference in a little bit of variation isn't going to matter. So we just walked along, wanded off every 6 feet, ran a string about 1 foot off the ground, and ran a string where we wanted the top of the metal post to end up. Let me pause again. So I've got a video that I'll link here on the end where you can see me and my friend putting the post in the ground and how that works. So the thing we would do is we would just come to wherever the mark was on the ground. I'd set up my little giant ladder. We'd set the bottom of the post 1.5 inches away from the string line. I would eyeball the top 1.5 inches away from the string line. He would take a little torpedo level. This thing is awesome, man. We got this on Amazon and it is sweet. And we would just set it on and we would check both directions. There's a link for this down in the bottom. And we just check plumb on both directions, and then I drive it about 2 to 4 inches in. We'd stop and we'd adjust. We'd drive it another 2 to 4 inches. We'd stop and we'd adjust. I'd drive it another little bit, and by the time we had it about 1 foot in the ground, it just was not moving anymore. We'd drive it the rest of the way in. It took about 1 minute of driving time to put these in, and then you've got another minute or two of moving, moving the ladder. The one thing I found is that it naturally kind of pulls the post towards you. So it would pull it out of plumb toward me as I was driving. So I had to just put a little bit of pressure this way to keep it going in straight. I thought before I started this project that the hardest part was going to be these posts. I was super worried that I wouldn't get them plumb. I thought I'd have to bring my skid steer and bend them a little bit. I did not have to do that. I don't know how many posts we've got here, 225 divided by 6. We didn't have to mess with a single one. They were all perfect. Now, once in a while, we would hit something hard in the ground, whether it was a rock or a root. I ripped out a ton of plum trees here. So up here, some of the posts took a little longer to go in because we were hitting roots. With some patience, it would go through the root. With some patience, it went through the rock. Of all of these posts, we only had one that would not go in the ground, and I had to stop and pull it out. And literally all we did is we just put a new one in about 4 inches to the side of it. I just shifted it over. So I've got a section down here on the back side that instead of having 6 feet between posts, it's like 5'6", and then the other side is like 6'6". Again, nobody sees it. It doesn't matter. But it saved us just massive amounts of time, saved us materials on concrete, saved us the backbreaking work of setting posts, and it just was unbelievable. So this Rhino Multipro, they're about $3,000. It is expensive, and I was kind of cringing at spending that much. I am super grateful I did. There is no way that the $300 Amazon post drivers are going to put these in the ground the way this sucker did, and it just was incredible. So watch the video of me using that. Once the posts are in the ground, the rest is super easy. You guys know how to do that. A couple of things that we decided to do. We kept it about 3 inches off of the ground. That way I can add some bark or gravel or mulch or more topsoil, and we're not touching the fence. I use screws. Now, big debate on screws versus nails, of course. My opinion is I did not want to have to do this again. I'm going to die in this house. I hope I'm here for 40 years, so we use screws. So on all of the rails to the posts, this should be obvious, but the screws are coming in from this side. So they're covered up because I put these pickets on the back. We found it was way easier to put these pickets on the back side first because it's a little tricky. I'll explain this in a second, but the exterior screws come in from this way, and we would put 2 in each rail. So there's 2 screws here and there's 2 screws here, and that's on all of them. These Deck Plus things worked phenomenally well. Then when it came time to putting the pickets on the back, the trick is you've got to drive a screw through your picket, through one of these holes that you can't see, and into the rail. But what it does is it effectively, puts another screw that sandwiches together. I would mark on the other side of the rail where they needed to go, and probably about 50% of the time they went right in. The other half of the time I would have to back the screw out. I'd have to back out one of the screws and re-angle it to get it to go in the hole. So that was a little finicky, but it worked really good, and it hides those posts. Once that's done, the pickets go on. And for the pickets, I use these screws. They're expensive, but I figured I wanted stainless because we're not gonna stain the cedar, and the stainless will hide best once the cedar ages. Stainless is not gonna leave any marks. So that's what we did. I used 2-inch long stainless steel screws, and there are 2 at the top rail, 2 at the middle rail, 2 at the bottom rail. These pickets are from MasterHalco, and my supplier told me that they don't really expand or contract much. I got all sorts of different opinions on the internet. These are kiln dried. I'm in Utah. I'm in a dry climate. He said they just butt them right together, and the thing we would do is we'd run about 3 or 4 of them, get them screwed on, and then we take our torpedo level and check plumb on the next one, and we make some adjustments. So there's some of these that there's maybe a little bit of a gap on the top and none at the bottom, and that is either from the picket being slightly warped or More likely it was for us adjusting for plumb. Now the pickets. The pickets I bought from MasterHalco as well. I bought them in pallets of 324. We went through one pallet. This is 324 along this section that we finished. We stopped because we ran out of stainless steel screws. That's why the second half is not finished, as I ran out of screws. I didn't want to buy 20,000 screws and find out that they were junk. So I just bought one case. I have more that are showing up tomorrow. But at these pickets, 324 of them, and only one. There was only one picket that we couldn't use because it was warped and had some damage to it. So that's pretty darn good. Let me show you my other tools and see if there's anything else here that that would be helpful for you. We used a 4-foot level to level up the rails. I've got a slope, and so we would just start, and come basically flush, put our level on it, and then just screw it to the next thing wherever it went. So, flush, and then just wherever it hit. And when we ran the screws in for the pickets, we would just eyeball them and just centered them right in the rail. I didn't run a string. I didn't really care. And then obviously when we hit the next thing, it would transition up, from here to here. And so you'll have a nice line coming on this one, and then it jumps up for the next one, but I didn't care about that. Sledgehammer was pretty handy for just knocking posts into place. The 4-foot level we'd use when we were doing the rails. Some concrete spikes so you can run your string. You need a tape measure. I actually use my spotting scope. I hunt, and I grab my spotting scope because at 225 feet, having a string that runs straight is pretty tough. And so I just set up my spotting scope, and then we put some other stakes in line with it, and made it really easy with the spotting scope to just get them all lined up nice and neat. I had one post. I did have one post of all of these that we couldn't get in. I told you when we pulled it out, it had some damage because we had accidentally ran it upside down, and I just cut off the top inch and reused it. That's about it. Anyway, if you guys have some fence to do, I would seriously consider buying that Rhino Multipro. It's expensive, but the time and labor you guys save and the ability to immediately run fencing after it is going to be worth every penny. So hopefully this video helped you guys. Thanks.